can you switch the slide? So to this end, we're basically, one of the first things that we're doing is developing the Oasis SDK, which basically makes it simple to develop modular paratimes and also clients. So the SDK basically standardizes things like transaction event and query formats and makes it possible to have usable modules that can be used in different paratimes and share storage state definitions. So the base functionality there is already implemented, and we're working basically on more testing and adding more high-level modules. And the initial versions of the SDK are already being used by some grantees, which we'll talk about later, to build Oasis first wallets. So some of the first supported languages for the client SDKs are Go and TypeScript, and the ParaTime SDK is built in Rust. So the next thing is basically the foundation is also planning to build and launch the first ParaTime that will be based on the SDK. The point of that is to basically host a few things. First is the interoperability modules for connecting with other networks and paratimes like the Ethereum Oasis bridge. And this is also the place that will host the WebAssembly-based confidential smart contracts. To this end, the ParaTime will run on Intel SGX-based compute nodes and use ROSE as the native token for paying any transaction fees and to pay node operators via rewards. So as I mentioned, we are currently working on the confidential WebAssembly-based smart contracts module, which will basically allow developers to make both transactions and contract states confidential. So that's basically the missing piece that's been not there so far. So the core network basically supports confidentiality, but it needs to be made really accessible to developers who want to build higher level applications. And this is what we're doing with the SDK. And then on the interoperability front, we're basically looking at three things. First is the Oasis Ethereum bridge, which will basically allow assets to be moved between an Oasis paratime and the Ethereum mainnet. Second thing is the cross-paratime communication standard, which will basically standardize a set of specifications for different paratimes to talk to each other. This, due to the unique architecture that we have, where we have a shared consensus layer among all the paratimes, this makes coordination between paratimes much easier, and we can do this in a way that the whole system is more scalable. So this will basically allow different paratimes to exchange virtual assets and data. So for example, you'll be able to communicate between the Ethereum-based paratime and the confidential WebAssembly-based paratime. So basically, this brings a lot of, this opens up a lot of possibilities. And the third thing is support for IBC, so the Inter-Blockchain Communication Protocol, which will basically allow paratimes to communicate with other networks, so other blockchains that support the protocol. Right, so that's on the interoperability front, and yeah, so there's a lot of features in the works, and now Luca will talk about what all this technical roadmap unlocks.
That's right. Thanks, Tierney. So we chatted a lot about the actual features, SDKs, a lot of technical terms there. So let's try to unpack a little bit all these things and see what they enabled. We split this work into three areas: the network, the DeFi side, and then the adoption side. On the network side, everything that Tierney discussed boils down to enabling like some very important things that are both like foundational and advance the network to the next stage, making it possible to create a lot of things from the point where we are right now. So first of all, we are working to create this new and more flexible environment for developers. What this means is that developers will no longer have to face this trade-off between developing in one environment or in another one. They can come start building in the place where it's more convenient for them, and then embed contracts, smart contracts that are deployed on an environment that is best for that specific contract. This is particularly relevant if people cannot make the direct connection, because when you're a developer right now and maybe you have an application on Ethereum, there is a lot of work that needs to be done to rewrite the application in another language and deploy it in another smart contract environment, which is this place that allows the smart contract to be deployed and executed. And this is a problem that a lot of layer 1 blockchains are having, especially the ones that are going to market with a different technology, which, yeah, may be better, but it's a huge learning curve for existing developers. So Oasis wants to remove this friction. And by leveraging this very unique and very particular architecture that enables the flexibility of multiple development environments that can coexist and then can share the same consensus layer. This new development environment that is being developed by the Oasis Foundation is also setting the stage for the confidentiality, because all the node and validators that are going to perform actions inside the ParaTime will be equipped with the secure enclave, with this piece of hardware that is provided by some operators, specifically like this SGX technology that is extremely powerful. I'll jump a second into this idea of this web Chrome wallet, which is something that the community has requested, and I think we're going to see a demo later. But I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this idea of progressive privacy, because I think is one of the concepts that we're going to talk about more and more in the future. So when you think of a decentralized application is made of different smart contracts that work with each other and perform different actions. Now, maybe for an existing application or even for a new application, doesn't really make sense to go fully private from day zero. And the thing that makes more sense is starting with your new application, building adoption, bringing your users over, and then making private or adding privacy or confidentiality only in the place where it makes the most sense. And so in order to reduce the barrier, in order to reduce the effort for developers, we're planning on using this interoperability between ParaTimes in a way that allows developers to come, use port their application, make users use the application, and then embed privacy only where it makes sense, which means you can start with the Ethereum compatible environment. That's an example, it's not a requirement. So you can start with the Ethereum compatible development environment, and then you can call contracts that live in the confidential environment, for instance. This is just an example, but again, I think you can appreciate how much lower the friction is going to be for developers going forward. On the DeFi side, starting to have all these infrastructures that like alongside all the partnerships we have will enable entirely new use cases that were not possible on the Oasis network so far. So first of all, by bringing Rose inside the Ethereum compatible ParaTime, that means that Rose will be much more accessible and much more useful in that environment, especially because of the decentralized applications that are there. When you think of the other way around, which is like porting Ethereum assets or ERC20 assets on the Oasis chain, you can start thinking how developers can build applications that don't ask existing Ethereum asset holders to get rid of their assets in order to join any DeFi application on the Oasis network, which is again a big thing. But also the other way around, right? Like Rose itself can be wrapped, which means can be like an equivalent version can be created according to the Ethereum standards, and that token can live on the Ethereum network and can be used to participate in some of the projects there, starting from like exchanges and other places where even if you're not familiar with the Oasis environment, you can still benefit from some of the properties of the token. The next immediate step would be building this decentralized exchange, both in a public and private manner. So with confidentiality and without confidentiality, given our very flexible architecture, which is again one of the other things that we've been hearing from the community, and we're very proud of being able to support on the network, which also implies that as every other decentralized exchange, there will be coming with liquidity mining programs to incentivize liquidity provider to provide liquidity, so that then that liquidity is available for the users and traders who want to benefit from these products. And the last one is kind of like we always speak about the partners or partnerships, or maybe how companies are using the network either directly or via parcel. The thing that we probably don't have or we haven't really explained is also how all these pieces that Irene described, like all these big chunks of work on the development side, are actually being used in the development side. And so take this, even just looking at the ParaTimes, having ParaTimes that adopt the same SDK and the same standards and the same interoperable format, it's a massive step forward, because now all new applications and new use cases can be enabled when you think of the way these ParaTimes can communicate with each other. And again, going back to the first thing that I said, which is this progressive privacy, this is really possible because of this new adoption, which is not necessarily visible from the outside, but it takes a lot of work from the inside. The second piece, which is very related to the first one, but also independent, is we are bringing parcel to the Oasis network. So the actual making it parcel and taking it to the network via building this parcel-specific ParaTime. It's also another chunk of work that unlocks an incredible number of properties and an incredible number of use cases that were not possible before. So even this is another example of, like adoption that is not necessarily visible. The third one is the expansion of the ecosystem grants, which we're going to have a deep dive session on. So I'm not going to spend time here. And like in order to look at the future and to imagine what's going to happen in the future, we're also going to increase the hackathons and the level of partnership. So on this, maybe we're going to release like more and more information like on a weekly basis. So on that, we're not going to make like big announcements today, but the point is this is a big ongoing development and ongoing effort that is going to bring to the adoption of the actual network. Okay, the next thing we are going to do today is I'm like having a sneak peek of what the bridge looks like. So stepping back, what is this bridge? We just talk about some of the benefits that it's going to bring, but let's spend 1 second for people who are not familiar with that. So when you have different networks and different layer 1 blockchains, you need to have a system for this blockchain to move assets, tokens from one place to another one. So let's imagine like the simple case where you have the Oasis network, and then you have the Ethereum network. Those are two independent networks that can now collaborate with each other. How? By building this bridge. What does this bridge do? This bridge allows token holders that hold tokens that are either Ethereum tokens or Oasis tokens, like Rose tokens, to move these assets on each other's chain. So Rose holders will be able to have an equivalent version of Rose that runs on the Ethereum network, and Ethereum holders or ERC20 holders will be able to have an equivalent version of their asset that runs on the Oasis network. This is a super important fundamental piece of the whole infrastructure, but especially in DeFi, because now both products that live on both network or either network can benefit and can target the same token holders. This is going to be, it's already developed. The backend is developed. We're doing the connection with the web wallet right now because it requires a wallet that signs transactions, and it's going to be deployed this quarter on the new Oasis Foundation ParaTime. So in the next 2 slides, we're going to see like a little preview of that, and soon we're going to be able to interact with that. So this is what this bridge is gonna look like in production. So you can connect 2 wallets, one on the Ethereum side and one on the Oasis side. If you don't have a wallet, you'd be simply reminded to open one. And after that, you'll be able to decide which tokens you want to swap and port on the other network. And essentially with 1 or 2 clicks, you'll be able to get your assets on the other chain. If it's a Ethereum chain, you'll have the assets on the Oasis chain. If it's the Rose token, you'll have the Rose token on the Ethereum chain or on the Ethereum wallet as well. So the next slide is just like a preview. No data here should be final or meaning anything more than a demo. But the cool thing is that this bridge will be able to support any ERC20 assets. We're probably going to start with a few because it makes sense to like progressively open it, but it's already meant to be fully compatible with any standards. And yeah, so this is it. And you're on mute.
Oh, okay. Hello. Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Haidai, please take it from here. I was on mute. But yeah, we'll hand it off to Haidai, who's speaking from the ParaState team, some of the developers behind the Oasis ETH ParaTime. Cool.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Haidai from ParaState. Today, I'm very excited to be here to share the update and roadmaps of the Oasis ETH ParaTime. Okay. Oasis Ethereum ParaTime provides an Ethereum-compatible platform on the Oasis network. Developers can use their familiar DApp development frameworks, such as Trueful, Hardhat, and any listed frameworks to migrate their applications on the Oasis network. The Oasis ParaTime is compatible with the latest Solidity language spec, so developers can leverage the most powerful features in the smart contracts, just like they work on the Ethereum mainnet. Also, the network fee is very cheap, just like I mentioned before. Developers can deploy their amazing applications at a very low cost, and the users can pay a lower fee to interact with these fantastic applications. Also, we all know that the throughput and the block confirmation time is always a big issue on a blockchain network. However, the transactions can be confirmed in only 6 seconds on the Oasis network. It's very fast and efficient, even when there are so many transactions on the network. Okay, and ParaState is not just focusing on the network infrastructure, just like we do in past few months. Another important thing is that it's about the developer experience. That's why we create Buildo. I believe there are several people already use it in the Hackathon. An easy-to-use web development environment to make the beginner can have an easy way to create their first app. Not only write a smart contract, but also they can develop their simple web page to interact with their smart contract. Okay, here's the short introduce of the Oasis ParaTime. Now, let's talk about the current status and the roadmap of the Oasis ParaTime. So the first thing is that some of the node operators already know that the current Oasis Ether network encounter a technical issue after the Oasis cable upgrade. Our Oasis Ether runtime configuration is not allow us to add the node operators back into the committee, except for the Genesis nodes at this moment. However, the service of the Oasis ETH network is still online because the network still has 2 Genesis nodes. So no worry to the developers and the users. They can still do the transfer transactions and deploy smart contracts and interact with the contracts. And we are working very hard with the Oasis team, and I believe this issue already fixed because we have tested the new approach on the testnet. Then the detailed announcement of this hotfix will be posted soon. So all of the node operators, don't worry about that because this issue will be fixed soon. Then let's go back to the roadmap of this year. After the Oasis mainnet launched, we focus on the user experience, which is fully compatible with the Ethereum mainnet. Now we believe it's time to move forward to the about the asset exchanges mechanism and about the developer experience. So our first two milestones are related to the assets exchange. First, we want to bring the ROS tokens into the Oasis network. So we are integrating the brand new Oasis SDK just introduced a few minutes ago with our Oasis ParaTime. We believe with this feature, we can enable lots of the DeFi application or opportunities. And users can just swap their ROS token between the Oasis mainnet and the Oasis Ether ParaTime. Second thing is that we will create, we call it the cross-chain gateways to make the digital asset can be exchanged from any other blockchains on the Oasis Ether network. Okay, so this will enable chance to allow users to move their assets between different networks, and this can just increase the liquidity. And this part will be released in just nearly future. So let's keep on it. Now let's go back to the developer experience. We already integrate the new eWatson virtual machine. Actually, it is a brand new and powerful runtime, which is defined in the Ethereum 2.0. And this allows developers to create more and more high-performance applications. To leverage the most powerful eWatson runtime, ParaState is working on a new compiler, SOLL, or call it SOL, which allows developers to use the their current Solidity smart contract. But our tool will generate the smart contract into the new eWatson format to gain more performance improvement. Moreover, we would like to bring more developers into the network and expand the developers' power by introducing our new Rust SDK, which allow developers can use the Rust language, one of the most popular programming languages, to create their stunning blockchain applications on our network. And this will also be released in this year. Now let's talk about the last part. I will talk about the Hackathon. In the period of the Hackathon, there are 21,000 smart contracts deployed on our network. Oh, that's a huge number, and it makes our engineering team very exciting. Moreover, we received 472 new dApps, so many great and fantastic projects. And there are more than 700 winners of the Hackathon. Thanks for all your contributions. That means a lot to us. And I believe it's time to announce the top 3 winner of the Hackathon Challenger 3. The first is the Tulip Swap. It's an automatic market maker. Users can exchange tokens and also participate in yield farming to earn Tulip tokens. The second is MicroMix. It's a mixer that moves all Ether or any ERC20 tokens from an address to another in a way that nobody except the sender can know for sure that these addresses are linked. And our third is the Rosebud Finance. It's a Uniswap type product that allows users to exchange tokens on the Oasis network. Congratulations and thanks again for the great job for all participants. Thank you.
These are really cool. I have to say I played around with them a little bit, and we'll make sure these get shared afterwards as well. But really amazing to see like what folks have been able to do so quickly. So awesome to see, and I think there's a future for all of these to be even more fully developed on the network with grants and et cetera. So thanks to these developers, it's very cool. Cool. So now we'll switch gears a little bit and do a little bit more of just a spotlight. So I wanted to have an opportunity to introduce the community to other community members, essentially, and wanted to start with Figment. I was reminiscing earlier that the Figment team was actually, I think, the very first node on the Oasis network. At the beginning, we actually had a private network to just basically test it out. I think we gave like a half-page doc of documentation, and these guys were the first to really get up and running. So wanted to give them an opportunity. So Matt, Clayton, really good to have you. Maybe you can spend a minute just introducing yourselves.
Hello, hi. Sure. I'll go first. Hi, my name is Matt. I'm one of the founders of Figment. We are a proof of stake, a professional proof of stake validating company. We operate, or I guess I should start. We've been in business for about 3 years, and we've been validating on proof of stake networks pretty much since the first proof of stake networks. And when Oasis was just beginning to gear up, we were very interested in it for a number of reasons. We validate on, I think at this point, we're actually validating on about 40 networks. Our sort of path into networks is often driven by investors, because we work with a lot of the venture capital providers, a lot of the venture capitalists who invest in these projects very early on. And there was a ton of excitement around Oasis for in that community and for us. Maybe I'll just sort of, one of the reasons that we were particularly interested in Oasis from the beginning was the basic idea around privacy as a built-in component, and just as a really base layer piece of why the blockchain exists. And sort of that mission and focus aligns really well with the type of thing that we think really gives just a great deal of potential for new applications and new use cases to blockchains. There's a lot of chains that have ideas around this and are sort of coming to it late, and are coming to it with sort of add-ons and privacy optional, et cetera. And we think that it's very cool, and we were always very interested in, or that's the thing that really pulled us in here, was that sort of base layer focus. Yeah, with that, maybe I'll turn it over to Clay.
Yeah, hey everyone. Yeah, like Matt said, we're very bullish on privacy, and just personally, we enjoy it as people outside of the company. I do most of the marketing at Figment, so definitely a lot less technical than Matt. But yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good to have you guys. Yeah, so I mean, we talked a little bit about when you got started on the network and why, which is just great to hear. Maybe you could talk about some of the highlights that have been a part of that experience to date, or anything unique and special you found in this community compared to many of the other great ones that you guys work with as well.
Sure, it's been really cool to be involved from that pre-production that pre-production time where things were just on little private test nets. I think I remember being on community calls that you hosted that may have had 3 or 4 participants, and I think we were coordinating little testnet launches like on Zoom calls and things like that. So that was just a very cool experience. And the community has really grown. It grew in fits and starts over time. I think actually probably relatively smoothly. Just sort of the size of that validator community that was interested in working on those testnets. I personally get a lot out of participating in those really early testnets where we're basically, we assume that things are going to be broken, and when things work according to plan, or when new things start working, it's really exciting, because you're really part of that construction from from zero, basically. Or I guess I realize we aren't there from zero. You guys did a ton of
No,
work
no,
before we showed up.
Close to zero, I think.
But close enough from our perspective, very early. So that's been really cool. And one of the technical highlights here has been how well you guys have coordinated, or how the community has coordinated the various upgrades through the testnet cycles and now into mainnets. I actually think this is kind of underrated as an accomplishment in general, which is just how difficult it is to do breaking change, hard forks or updates that require coordination, where there is that decentralized validator community involved. And because you're not keeping like a proof of authority layer, you're not keeping the ability to do it yourself. The team, coordinates for sure, but it can't be done without the whole community of validators coming together and coordinating the updates together. And the way that's been pulled off by Oasis and the community here with a remarkable degree of smoothness.
It's interesting. I feel like for the Cobalt upgrade, I was just naturally nervous, right? It was the first mainnet upgrade we would have. So, and really like a bunch of, we knew some validators, but many are new, to the community or came post testnet as well. And it was like both a relief, but also really cool to see. Like, I think you guys included, there were many people like sharing their, the Genesis file they built, sharing the data they pulled as we transition networks, and like those things were so critical to see, like actually the power of having a community really engaged in this, like as opposed to just having like one team pulling a trigger, which is just like not what's happening. So that was really neat to see from my perspective too. It felt like a lot of work this community has done to like really actualize. So I agree with you. Thank you.
Cool. I would imagine that from your side of the screen, that first mainnet upgrade was probably a pretty tense couple of hours. But from my side of the screen, we were pretty relaxed about it because we'd done it so many times on the testnets. There had been so many of those coordinated upgrades on the testnet that I had a pretty high degree of confidence that it was going to go off without a hitch. And I think the network started making blocks like pretty much at Genesis time, if I remember correctly.
Totally.
And so that's really cool. It just means that it worked and everybody had practiced and knew how to do it.
No, I appreciate that. Is there any? So when we look, oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's also really valuable to have a community like that because it's inevitable or likely that at some point something will go wrong. And it hasn't happened here, and I'm not predicting that it will. I have no reason to think it will, but we've had on other chains that we operate on, there have been chain halts. There have been unplanned, a bug shows up, an exploit shows up, something shows up, and the ability to recover from that is essentially built by these upgrade processes, because people are ready and they're watching, they're engaged, and they know how to do it when the time comes. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, no, I agree. So anyway, when we're thinking then to the future, like, are there any big features or things that you hope happen in the next few months or next few quarters, the community can be aware of as well?
Yeah, one of the things I'm certainly excited about the bridge. I think these kinds of things are super cool. I'm really looking forward. I think there's a demo coming up of a wallet app. And I'm super excited to see more of the wallets come online. We, as a pretty technical organization, we're entirely comfortable using CLIs and creating, and working with a protocol in that way. And there's some very cool community provided infrastructure there already out there. And I'm really excited to see where that goes. I think that the interface point for end users is it's a really big challenge, and the people who work on it are doing great work. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes. And we've been participating on one of the ParaTime testnets so far, and we're very excited to see where those go. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, the other thing I'll say, just looping back to your privacy point, which we haven't shared a bunch about, but the new ParaTime that your name mentioned earlier, which will be sort of
an Oasis Foundation ParaTime will also use SGX for nodes. And so that's something for validators on this call, both for yourselves and for anyone else who's interested in running a node. This will be an opportunity to run an SGX node as well on that ParaTime and earn rewards for doing that too. So something else to look out for on the privacy front as we expand out that decentralized ParaTime in addition to what Parcel is today. So more on that.
That's exciting. SGX is really interesting technology to work with. It's from an operator's perspective, it's really finicky, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that develops. I think there's going to be some challenges.
Hence, I think a need for a testnet at first, and it's been cool to see. I think what other some alternatives to SGX that have been popping up as well. So I think one of the reasons we had this early relationship with Google, for example, was to test their secure VMs, and so that is an alternative here is something we're looking into long term as well for this this type of ParaTime too. So cool. Well, I'll hand it off to you guys. I know, in addition to being a validator, you guys have done a bunch of other work on the network to make it more usable and accessible for more folks. So I wanted to give you guys a chance to talk a little bit about that too. So thank you guys for joining. Yeah,
definitely. As Matt mentioned before, we love starting conversations early in the early testnet periods, but then being infrastructure providers, there's a lot of things that if you use examples in the real world, like energy grids, water, there's plenty of things that need to be built on top of that as the ecosystem grows. So one of the first things that we did was we built Hubble, which is kind of our Web3 Explorer that we build for blockchains that we support. I think we have about 13 available now, but I think the Hubble Explorer went live last October. But this is a tool that allows token holders to check validator performance before they decide to delegate to validators. It also allows validators to check their own performance. Make sure that they're managing uptime and maintaining uptime and aren't being jailed, etc. And another thing that we built is Data Hub for developers. So I think the next slide. Yeah. Data Hub is a set of read-write node and enriched API infrastructure that we built for developers that allows developers to easily integrate their Oasis application, connect their application to the Oasis blockchain. So that went live about in November, I believe, of last year. Currently free to use up to 200,000 requests per day. And then we have a lot of other optionality. Obviously, there's a price point that gets associated with it after 200K. But we're pretty flexible, and you can upgrade your plan, downgrade your plan based on your needs over time. And a couple other things that we're doing for Oasis right now. If you want to go to the next slide.
Yep. Sorry about that.
We have an education component to our developer Data Hub offering, which is called Figment Learn. And it's probably one of our newest programs that we've been doing. But basically, we'll be launching the Figment Learn pathway for Oasis in, I believe, July. And it allows Web2 developers or developers that aren't necessarily super familiar with Oasis to go from 0 to writing a smart contract on Oasis within a day. And there's going to be like 5 tutorials that people complete through Data Hub. They'll get check marks when they do it properly. And in return, they will earn Rose tokens for completing the pathways. Outside of that, over time, we'll be rewarding developers who are kind of building out this educational hub for Oasis. So we'll be paying developers in Rose tokens for making their own tutorials and building out other tool sets, for our educational platform. And the last thing that we recently went public with was we announced our capital arm of our company. So we have a $16 million fund dedicated to protocols that we support. Layer 2s on top of protocols that we support, and applications building on top of protocols we support. So if anyone's interested in that, if anyone's interested in building on Oasis, we would love to, start a conversation with you. But yeah, that's what we got for Oasis in a nutshell for right now.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I'll say like Figment Learn is super cool, so I'm really excited about that. I think it's just like it's been really impressive what you guys have done, and so really excited to see that go live for us soon. And yeah, I mean, I think for those developers who are on this channel, we have many on the Parcel side, many on the Oasis ETH side. Like Figment Capital is an amazing opportunity here to get some additional support. So you guys know where to find the Figment team, and we're happy to help facilitate as well. It's a great opportunity for developers. So thank you guys so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so
yeah, thanks, guys.
Align with that, I'll say, so actually some of that was actually through some grants, some of the work that you guys did. And so I'll hand it over now to Jorge, who manages our grants program and can speak a little bit to how that program has grown and flourished over time, and some opportunities for folks to do things, similar to what Figment has done as well, or different opportunities too. So Jorge, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. And thank you, Figment team, for sharing all the great work you've already done contributing to the Oasis network. I'm really excited to be here with the community today to share an update on our Rose Bloom Grants program, which is a 1.5 million grants program that we have available to spur development on the Oasis network to help us get connected with top developers around the world like Figment, who can contribute to the network and help us meet our goals for the network. So what is the Oasis Rose Bloom Grants program? It's a program in which the foundation is offering grants up to $50,000 in USD in Rose tokens to developers that are building new apps and ecosystem tools on the Oasis network. So why do we have this program? It's to attract top developers like Figment, accelerate the growth of the network, and launch native DeFi apps, privacy tools, and more for our Oasis network and grow our community. So it's already available, it's live. You can start applying whenever you're ready. Our applications are reviewed on a rolling basis by the Oasis Foundation team. So we encourage developers wherever you are in the world to submit your proposal today. And here's the application link available through this link, as well as the QR code, which if you have your phone, you can just snap that with your phone and it'll take you right to the application page. So now let me dive into some of our current projects that we've already funded, as well as some of the key areas that we're looking to get top developers to contribute to. So in terms of the projects that we've already funded, we have a new custodial wallet Chrome extension for Rose tokens. We have a new non-custodial web wallet for Rose, which is being developed by Tristan, who's one of our grant recipients, and he'll be sharing a demo on that a little later. We have a port of Uniswap deployed on the Oasis ETH ParaTime, which will contribute to making a DEX available on the Oasis network, as well as a new privacy-focused DEX built natively on the Oasis network. So these are key initiatives that contribute both to enabling people to do more with their Rose tokens on the network, as well as unlocking new applications and new capabilities for the network. And we're looking to fund new projects in the following areas. One of the key ones that we're focusing on is NFTs. This includes NFT art galleries, NFT auction systems, as well as NFT apps on Oasis ETH. And with the link here, you can go to our grant category description for that in particular, as well as the QR code that we have on the corner, which will take you to our GitHub community page, which is where you can see all of the different grant categories that we have available, where we're looking for specific types of projects like these. Some of the other projects include DeFi apps deployed on Oasis ETH. You can think of this like Compound, for example, enabling people to provide their tokens as collateral and to borrow tokens from the system. We also have new lottery and game apps that we're encouraging to be developed on the network, as well as new features for our Oasis network block explorers to make it more insightful and more relevant to our community that's looking for key insights into transactions, nodes, validators on the network. So I encourage everyone to check out our links for the grants and apply with your projects as soon as you're ready. Thank you. And now I'm going to hand it off to Tristan, who's our grant recipient working on the non-custodial web wallet for Rose tokens.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. All right, Tristan, take it away.
So, yeah, I'll be sharing my screen. And there we go. Okay, so hi, guys. I'm going to show you what I've been working on for the past few weeks. So as the team mentioned, this is part of the grant program. And I initially wanted to build this for myself because I actually didn't find a good solution out there. I wanted a wallet that could be able to handle mnemonic phrases, ledger, private keys directly, something that would be non-custodian, which means that you actually hold your private keys and you do not share them with a third party. Plus, there are a lot of really neat features that I wanted to add in, and I thought the grant program was actually the right occasion. So let's jump right in. So I made this with the idea of, first of all, being tailored to simple use cases, but also for some more advanced users that want to have multiple wallets of different types open at the same time. Now, to show you what it looks like, first of all, let's actually open a wallet. And of course, this is still a work in progress. So the UI will change and evolve in the upcoming few weeks before the release. And I'm actually going to open, say, one with a private key that I have on hand here, and I'm gonna have access to my wallet, on which, I mean, as any wallet, I'll have the transaction history, be able to send transactions, have a QR code to scan it easily, and then I'll also be able to stake my tokens. So here I'm on a local network, but if I go to the testnet, I'm going to have all of the validators that are on the testnet, and this is going to evolve as well. We plan on adding much more details about the validators and the performance before, so that you know which one you want to delegate to, depending on their commission fees and commission schedule, their uptime and performance, etc. Another thing that was really important, as I said, was the ability to have multiple wallets opened. So I'm actually going to unlock my ledger right now. And okay, it's unlocked. And I'm gonna be able here to see, for example, all of my accounts from my ledger and pick the ones that I want to open. And I'm actually easily able to switch between my active wallets, the one opened from private keys and from ledger. And I'm also able to create a wallet with a 24 words mnemonic. So I can open that as well and have yet another wallet opened. And I'm going to switch back to one of my, let's say, this one that is actually from my ledger, and show you also for transactions, I wanted to be able to display specific details about the transaction, to have some safety features, seeing the Genesis hash, seeing the fees of the transaction, etc. And once again, if I submit this, I'm going to need to approve it on my ledger. And once it's approved, sign, it's sent, and it's actually displayed in real time. So a lot of cool things also will be added in the future. I want to build cool things with the bridge with Oasis Ethereum, and ideally being able to do that here in the wallet to swap tokens. Some other key areas that I want to mention, I'm really going to try to work on the UI to make it attractive and flexible. One example here is that the fact that it's actually built with being responsive and being able to run on any type of devices. Another thing is it comes with a neat little feature. It comes with dark mode. I know that it's a feature that some here like a lot. And also another thing is so that it's accessible, it comes with localization support. So right now it's only translated in French because I'm French. But later down the line, just before release of the initial version, I'll ask around for some folks that want to help and translate it in as many languages as possible, so that this is easy to use even for non-English speakers. So that's it for the demo. Thanks a lot. And one last thing, it's on GitHub. So if you want to go and have a look at it, I'll paste the link in the chat. There are issues if you want to get involved. that are written as good first issues and are easy to pick. I'm active on Slack as well. If you go to wallet support on the Oasis Slack channel, I'll be happy to answer your questions as well. Thanks a lot.
Awesome, thanks, Tristan. Yeah, this is super
Thanks,
cool,
Tristan.
and I think, yeah, just like let me say, we've heard the ask, and this is a attempt by the community to really address that need from the wallet side. This, I think, will be a great addition to what exists now. So thanks so much, Tristan. There also will be some internal security audits from our side as well to make sure we feel like it's up to par as well. But it's looking really awesome. So thanks so much, Tristan, for this. It's great.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again.
Please.
One sec. Okay. All right, John, community update.
All right.
And program.
Yeah, let me take us home. Thank you so much for the floor. Thanks everyone for attending this first community call. It's really nice to kind of have this organic transparency with the community and just kind of let you know that we've heard all the requests, we've heard all the asks. Here's the wallet demo. Here's a lot of our validators, community, and we'll be doing more and more of these to be more transparent and get more of that communication going. So we'll dive into the Q&A, but let me dive through some of where we've been, where we're going, and how you can get involved. So let's go through the blast from the past. We had the Rose Garden. That's coming very, very soon, 4 days. That's going to be unlocked. So people are really excited about that. If you missed it, stay tuned. Obviously, we're going to be reconfiguring some of our incentives and looking for more community events. So stay tuned for maybe potentially Rose Garden 2.0 or something along those lines. We've got lots of hackathons, Gitcoin hackathon in the past, the OETH hackathon that we did as well. And then our current Open DeFi hackathon is going on as well. We've got Community Cup that goes on continuously. This is something that we were doing weekly in the beginning, doing lots of giveaways, getting Rose tokens out there to the community, encouraging wallet growth. And we're going to continue doing that. So right now we're doing an AMA giveaway tomorrow. We're doing something today. Jorge and I are working, and Taylor are working really hard at the Community Cup. And we're excited to have Danelle join our team as well. So we'll be doing lots more community events. Jumping down to the naming event, this is something that is really cool. Cobalt Upgrade actually came from the community. This is something that we polled you guys, said, what do you guys want to do for naming events? You said you wanted to do rose colors. We looked even deeper and we found, hey, this is a really cool treasure trove of cool naming, strong naming categories. So Cobalt came out of that, which is such a strong, powerful name. And it really encapsulates some of the network's motto. Going down into the AMAs, we're doing tons of AMAs, guys. We were on the Binance AMA recently. We had huge growth. We're going into other Telegram channels more often now, kind of taking advantage of these partnerships that we've been making. So stay tuned for more AMAs. We've got one tomorrow with SpareX. We've got one next week with Conflux again, going into their Telegram, and we'll be doing more and more with our partners. And we've also started incorporating giveaways at the end of our AMAs. They're not giveaways. I'll be very clear for legal. They are earned quizzes, and we're really happy to offer that to get more wallets made and get more Rose tokens out there. So KYC dependent, but yes, please participate in those AMAs so you can start getting some Rose. The university program, this is something I'm really proud of, and we're growing and continually growing in the space. All the Ivy League universities, and not all of them, but a large collection of reputable top tier universities around the world. And this is a good focus for us. This paves the way for the future generations to stay in line with what's going on currently in blockchain and positioning ourselves as someone that's, not only blazing the trailblazing, but we're at the forefront of what's going on within the university system. Don will be teaching courses at UC Berkeley. I mean, we are at the forefront of this, and as we should be, as one of the most reputable blockchain projects within the space for universities, and all the world leaders around the world take note to this. Clubhouse, we're going to be doing more stuff on Clubhouse. We're having a really fun, engaging experience on Clubhouse. We've done 2 live Clubhouse rooms. Thank you very much, Irvin and his team, for hosting us. And we will continue to do that. It's a really fun, engaging way of just having live conversations. We don't record them, and that's part of it. You just come and join and have an organic conversation. The Open DeFi Hackathon, please check that out. If you're not on our Discord, come over to our Discord. They've got a full channel over there. You can ask what's going on, get support, and there's a lot of money up for grabs with those DeFi hackathons. So please take a look at that. And let's look into the future. I talked about the AMAs. tomorrow, please join us, SpareX, Hackathon Open DeFi, and we'll be doing more of those. I mean, as you can imagine, as technical milestones roll out, the more hackathons that will be introduced. So stay tuned for that. What an opportunity for builders and developers, engineers around the world to have this land grab of what Oasis is offering. I wish I could code. I would be working hard at some of these new ideas. Community incentives. As I alluded with the Rose Garden ending, stay tuned for some really cool community incentives. I'm really excited. We're working on some really cool stuff. We know blockchain is one of those spaces that, you know, people like to get things, and we heard our community is requesting it. Regional focused events and engagement. So we've got, you know, I'll talk about our ambassador program very shortly, but regional focused events, these are something our ambassadors are pushing borders within their regions, getting the language translated, all our articles and blogs translated into their local regions, spreading the word. I mean, this is organic growth. This is great word of mouth, friends, referrals. I mean, these people are growing pockets of interest. Everybody cares about privacy, and it's really helping us grow the entire space. I mean, blockchain needs this type of adoption. Mass adoption is you know, a crippling point for years, and I think it's still going to be for years. So this is something that really helps spreading into regions, and we're going to be rewarding those regional growths. If regions are exploding like our France community and a few other communities, we're going to reward them. Our Vietnamese community, we recently had a regional meme competition in their community because that's what they said they would love to do, and it was quite funny, and we got some great things out of it, and we rewarded them for it. More social media presence. As one of our members asked right now, hey, I don't see you on Bitcoin Talk. There's a few social media platforms that we're lacking, and we're aware of this. And part of it is just, you know, is there interest there from our community? And if there is, please let us know that we can help expand into these areas. And maybe there's an opportunity for you to help us expand as well. If it's somewhere that you like spending your time, maybe there's an opportunity for you to earn some rows as an ambassador and help us expand into somewhere that you want to see us. So please, and that leads me to the next one. We're expanding our team. I mean, go to our jobs page. This is a great opportunity for you to potentially get your foot in the door in blockchain with a team that is amazing. I can tell you from personal experience, this is a good team to join. Take a look at our jobs page, and you won't be disappointed. And next slide, please.
Awesome.
All right, becoming an Oasis ambassador. These are my favorite people in blockchain. It's where I spend most of my time talking to these guys. They're our most supportive, encouraging, and kind individuals within our Rose ecosystem, in my opinion, and we're open to joining or having more people join us. This is an open call. It's a one-size-fits-all part-time program designed to be fun. It is not meant to stress you out, not meant to make you feel like you've got a second job. It's meant to complement where you're already spending your time in blockchain, in the crypto space, and doing things that you love to do. So please reach out. Any of our ambassadors, any of our admins, any of our team members will send you the link to apply. We would be so happy to have you join us, and even just at any capacity, translation, content creation. We're breaking our ambassadors down into skill sets and regions because we just have so many now. We've pushed over 200 globally with our Chinese community as well, and we're really proud of that. So if you have any interest in being involved with a team, if you're a current ambassador or somebody on the outside that thought, hey, maybe one day I'd like to be one, it's a great opportunity for you to get your toes wet. DM me, Coincidence John, across the board, most all the social media platforms. That is my name. And please visit our website. You can go get involved tab, click become an ambassador. It'll take you to our Medium page, and please apply. There's the hiring page as well at the bottom. And then I'll go to our next slide. What do ambassadors do? So yeah, I'll just break down a small bit. I talked a little bit about content creation and things like that, but I broke this down even further. So part-time program designed to be fun. You can earn rewards by completing bounties. That's first and foremost, it's a bounty-driven program. So if you don't want to do anything, that's fine, but you're not going to earn any rows, and that's fine too. But the program is designed to incentivize people for a little activity. Is simple as retweets, to be honest. Help Oasis expand into your favorite social media platform. As I mentioned with Bitcoin Talk, if we're not there, we would love to be, and maybe you can help us get there. So please keep that in mind. You can highlight your dedication to one another on our ambassador rewards leaderboard. This is a fun internal thing that we've got going on. Some of the ambassadors are pretty competitive, and they like to size up their rewards and mounts towards one another. So we've got an active leaderboard that's really fun, and it does highlight some of these ambassadors are doing an amazing job. business development partnerships. If you're a BD or you know, a networker and you're thinking maybe this program isn't for me, you're wrong. There's a lot of opportunity to be rewarded for connection and fostering great relationships that lead to announcements and partnerships. A lot of our partnerships that I've fostered have come through community requests or ambassadors saying, hey, I'm an ambassador for this project and your project. I think there's synergy there. Please have a conversation. So if you think that maybe you want to work on your networking or connections, please, by all means, there is opportunity there as well. You will have first access to demonstrations and testing groups and different things as well. As you can understand, it's where I spend most of my time. These ambassadors, they do get information very quickly on the fly, and they're, you know, fingers on the pulse. So if you're looking for being a little bit closer to the team and having opportunity for that, that is a good way as well. We don't leak any information. I'll be very clear about that. We're legal once again, but it is, you know, first access in some situations. You can also elevate your status by the promotional tier. This is something I'm really proud of. I designed this to be an entry ramp for people to be able to get into the blockchain space. And it really does inch you closer. As you get promoted through our ambassador program, you inch closer to having valuable experience that you can actually put on your resume so that you can go to other projects or our project when a job comes available and say, hey, I have experience. I've done this. I've sat in on team meetings. And it can maybe get the differentiator to getting you a job in blockchain that could change your life. And you get to be a part of the change that you want to see in blockchain. A lot of concerns and criticism come from the community, and that's valuable. And we appreciate constructive criticism. But if you're the type of person that thinks, hey, I'm tired of talking about it, I want to see it. I actually had someone speak to me about this yesterday. Said, hey, what's your ambassador link? I want to make a difference. I want to help you make the difference that I'm asking for. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So please don't be shy. Join our team. It's honestly my most favorite people in blockchain. So thank you very much to all our ambassadors. We appreciate you. We wouldn't be where we are without you. And anybody that's looking to join, we'd be happy to have you as well. Next
Awesome.
slide, please, Anne.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I think I'm done. Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I got more.
Yeah, I think that was a good overview though. So maybe we can share this slide out just with a lot of links.
Yeah, this is all our social media channels. We've got a lot more Telegram channels. So please take a look. We're all over the place. And like I mentioned, if we're not where we need to be, let me know and let's get there.
Cool. Yeah, and I want to give a couple minutes for Q&A. So I'll say thanks, John. This is really great.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
for folks in the community, we'll send this version of this deck out afterwards as well. So folks will have access to all the links. I know it's a lot of information to copy, so no worries there. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time. We've got 5 to 10 minutes left here to go through some questions. I've tried to answer some of those questions as we've been going, but figured we should also go through a couple live. So one we got from Joe is, what is the technical roadmap for Rosetta API on from Oasis's perspective? So Yernea, I thought maybe you could take that one.
Sure. So basically the Rosetta API, I guess, I mean, it's a supported API to interact with the Oasis chain. But as I mentioned in one of my replies, it's basically very limited to what it can expose because it's basically made as an API that can encompass all the different chains out there. So some things are hard to express. But yeah, it's supported and people are using it. So it will continue to be so.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, cool. Let's see, looking down the list here. So another question we got was, a huge incentive for developers is the ability to create their own token using Oasis. Tokens allow developers to profit, from and build their own dApp network. What's the plan for tokens on the Oasis blockchains and its various ParaTimes, and how will the tokens interact across them? So, this is actually very timely. This is something that the team's been working on the parcel side. Luca, I thought maybe I could give you a minute to talk a little bit about the roadmap for tokenization of parcel as a sort of structured step to doing that in an easy way.
Yeah, absolutely. There are two parts of this answer. The first part is for blockchain developers, which means like developers who want to build directly on the chain. And this is the second part, which is also even more exciting, which is for all the companies that wouldn't even know how to deal with a blockchain because of its complexity. And the Oasis team having this great product that is in between enterprises and developers, blockchain developers, can serve both. So I want to talk about it. I want to talk about this in a minute. So when you think of issuing tokens, there are multiple ways to do it, and are also multiple reasons to do it. The first thing or the person who has the question I refer to is this ability to issue tokens for maybe like a decentralized application. So this is something that, of course, needs to be done. It's something that, as a layer one, needs to be there. And one of the things that I said before is that, like, the sad part is that there is a ton of work that needs to be done to make this type of use cases feasible, right? And the specific moment in time where the Oasis Foundation is right now, which is probably 6-7 months old from post mainnet, is really creating the best infrastructure for this to happen. So it's a little bit like forward looking, of course, and I appreciate that it sounds as such. But at the same time, what the Oasis team doesn't want is that you rush towards enabling like bits of features here and there, and then the feature is not really complete, or the incentive schemes changes, and so on and so forth. So this is like the one part of the answer that is more on the blockchain development side. Now, let's go on the other part, which is companies, startups, enterprises, growth companies that are starting to appreciate for the first time now after this bull cycle how blockchain can be beneficial to them. So this NFT explosion has been powered by not just like crypto DeFi users who are motivated by some interest rates, but also by the features that blockchain can bring, right? We know that blockchain can add transparency, can add portability of the assets, can add fractionalization of the assets, interoperability of the assets. And when we hear the word assets, we always default towards DeFi assets. Where we hear the word NFT, we always default towards like either piece of art or music or some static content, right? Now, the thing that at Oasis we are realizing is that tokens can be much more powerful than that. They don't have to only represent static content, but they can represent something whose value changes because of some data that changes, right? You can think of royalties. How do royalties change? They change based on some dynamics. For instance, the number of streams that happen on a Spotify platform on any given day, right? This is what determines the value of a certain royalty. If you want to represent that with tokens, how do you do it? So we're working on this problem. We're working on understanding the relationship between data and NFTs. And data and tokens in general, and we envision this next feature. So I'm not talking about years of development. I'm talking about the next features here that will enable companies to benefit from the blockchain without having to write blockchain code, without dealing with the blockchain infrastructure, to represent assets via tokens. And the value of this asset is actually determined by data. And that's how the role of privacy and blockchain start getting together, not just in the context of decentralized applications, private DeFi, et cetera, but also in the context of, okay, what does the token represent? How's the data be plugged into token ecosystem? We think this is a concept that, like the blockchain ecosystem isn't realizing right now. There's a lot of focus on art and music, as I said before, or maybe like fan token and stuff like that. But we think that the power of token is probably 10 times or 20 times bigger than what are actually clear today.
Cool. Thanks, Luca. So we're running over time, so I'll take one more question here. Let's see, let me scan through here. Yeah, lots of good questions. Hopefully we've answered a lot of them via text as well. So maybe one thing we can do is also capture those in writing and share as sort of a report for this also. Let's see, I'm seeing, yeah, so one question that might be interesting to describe, and Jorge, I'll hand this one to you, is, so the question is, how are gas fees made to be much lower than that of ETHs? And so specifically, I think, how we thought about scalability. So Jorge, maybe you can take that one as well.
Sure. So there's a few things. that we have. So one is basically the consensus layer can support many different parallel runtimes, and each parallel runtime doesn't need to process all of the transactions from other runtimes, right? So that reduces load. And then also inside ParaTime, so the ParaTime committees can be smaller. So it's basically the replication factor can be less, which this is both due to use of Ps like SGX, and also because we have randomized elections and our discrepancy detection technology, which enables like smaller committees, and this means like less computation is wasted for like executing smart contracts and so on, while still keeping the security properties. So I think those are the main drivers that enable low gas fees.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome, cool. All right, well, I think we'll conclude there. I want to be respectful of people's time. Thanks everyone for joining. Like, again, I think we hope to do these on a much more frequent basis than we have in the past, and we'll spend future ones doing deeper dives into some of the things you heard today, as well as using it as an opportunity really to highlight even more members of the community. But hopefully this answered some of your questions and gave you a good sense of where we are. What I'd say too is there's been some questions about the roadmap. I shared a link in here, but we can share that on Telegram as well. What Jorne walked through from a technical perspective is also on GitHub, and we'd love people's feedback on that and thoughts as well to make sure we as a community feel we're going down the right path. All right, well, with that, I'll say thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate having everyone on here.
Thank you so much, everyone. Look forward to the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Thanks.